We've all been there, right? You know that feeling? Like when you're all gung-ho to like finally eat healthier or like dust off that treadmill in the basement.
Uh-huh.
But then, like no matter how hard you try, you just end up sort of falling back into the same old ruts.
Yeah.
We always hear it's about willpower, but what if it's not? Like what if there's a whole different way to think about actually making those changes stick this time?
Oh, there is. There absolutely is. It's a super interesting area of research, actually. And you know that whole like classic idea of willpower being like this muscle that gets tired out?
Right, like it just gets depleted.
Yeah. Well, it turns out that idea might not be the whole picture. Like even a study in psychological science found that people who think that willpower is like limited, like it's finite, they actually do worse on like those tests where you have to like resist temptation. So it's almost like they're setting themselves up to fail, you know?
It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy or something.
Right. It's why.
So, okay, if it's not this battery that just runs out of juice, how should we be thinking about willpower then?
Well, think of it more like learning a new skill, you know, kind of like when you're first learning to play an instrument or something.
Right, yeah.
The more you practice, the better you get. And just like with any skill, like having the right environment to practice in, that makes all the difference in the world.
That is such a good point. And actually, speaking of environment, one of the things that really surprised me when I was reading through all this stuff you sent was like how much our surroundings, like our actual physical environment.
Oh, for sure.
Really influences our behavior. Like it's crazy.
It is. It is. It's because our brains, they're like little pattern machines constantly picking up cues from our environment and responding like automatically, almost without us even realizing it. Like, you know how it is, your phone buzzes and you like instinctively grab it to see like who's texting or...
Even when you know you shouldn't.
Exactly. Even if you like swore you were going to focus on work or whatever. But it's not that we're weak or anything. It's just our brains are wired to be efficient like that.
Right. So it's like they're always looking for those shortcuts.
Exactly.
But okay, so it's not our fault, but like, how can we use this to our advantage? Like, how can we make it work for us instead of against us?
Well, one thing you can do is actually design your environment to like make the good choices the easier choices, you know? Like there's that saying, out of sight, out of mind. It's so true. So like if you're trying to cut back on sugar, maybe don't keep a cookie jar, you know, right there on the counter, tempting you. Put a bowl of fruit there instead. Like make healthy the easy choice.
Okay, so it's like setting yourself up for success.
Exactly.
So like, should I be like rearranging my whole apartment right now? I'm ready. But okay, what about building new habits? Like, say I want to start meditating every morning. Can we use this automatic response thing to make that happen?
Totally. There's this technique called habit stacking.
Okay.
And it's basically like you're piggybacking a new habit on top of one you already do without even thinking.
Oh, I like that.
So like, let's say you always make coffee first thing in the morning.
Right.
Put your meditation cushion like right next to the coffee maker. So that way...
So it's like a little reminder.
Exactly. It's a trigger. The coffee becomes your cue to meditate.
I love that. Okay, but what happens when life gets in the way? Like you plan to work out after work, but then your boss dumps a mountain of paperwork on your desk and you're stuck late. What then?
That's where planning for obstacles comes in. And there's actually research showing that making if-then plans, you know, like if this happens, then I'll do this, can really boost your chances of sticking to your goals.
That makes sense.
Like you could say to yourself, okay, if I have to work late, then I'll just do a quick 20-minute workout at home instead of going to the gym.
Right.
So you have a plan B and you're not totally thrown off track just because things didn't go exactly the way you thought they would. It's like you're anticipating all the ways you could, like, potentially self-sabotage, and then you're building in those safeguards.
Exactly.
That is so smart. Okay, there's one more really powerful idea from all these materials that I wanted to touch on. The power of identity. Like, changing how we actually see ourselves.
Right, right. This is about way more than just like changing what you do. It's about changing like your whole self-image.
Right.
Like instead of saying, I'm trying to quit smoking, you say, I am not a smoker.
Oh, wow.
It sounds like a small thing, but it can make a huge difference. Because when you start seeing yourself that way, you start acting in a way that matches that image.
It's like you're becoming that person you want to be, not just trying to do what that person would do.
Exactly. It's way deeper.
So much deeper, so much more powerful.
Right. And you can use this idea for anything. Like if you want to eat healthier, don't say, I'm trying to eat healthier.
Yeah.
Say, I am the kind of person who prioritizes their health.
Yeah, like I'm making that choice for myself because that's who I am now.
Wow, this has been like seriously eye-opening. Like I feel like I'm looking at this whole willpower thing in a totally different light now.
Me too. It's really cool stuff.
I think the biggest takeaway for me is that making real lasting change, it isn't about just like gritting your teeth and forcing yourself to do things you don't want to do.
Yeah.
It's about understanding how our environment and habits work and then using that knowledge to make good choices. Like the easy automatic choice.
Yeah.
It's like we're designing our lives in a way that makes success like almost inevitable.
I love that. And it makes me wonder if our environment shapes us that much, like you were saying earlier, what are some things that we could each change in our own lives, even little things?
That is a really good question.
Like what small tweaks could we make in our surroundings that would kind of nudge us in the direction we want to go, like towards becoming the best version of ourselves?
Oh, that's a good one. Something to think about for sure. Well, on that note, I think we're going to wrap up this deep dive. But I have a feeling this is something we're all going to be thinking about long after we hit stop.
I hope so. It's really fascinating stuff.
Thanks for listening, everyone. See you next time.
Bye.